Right now, the strongest property markets happening anywhere in Australia are happening in regional Australia. And that makes the timing of the release of our new edition of the National Top 10 Regional Hotspots report particularly well placed, because that's where investors and home buyers are heading right now for the best capital growth, the best prospects for future growth, as well as a higher level of affordability, and for investors, better rental yields. So we often say that investing in good regional locations is a win-win-win situation for investors, because you've got a lower entry price compared to the major cities, you've got much better rental yields, and if you're buying in the right places, you're going to get some pretty good capital growth. And our National Top 10 Regional Hotspots report is designed to show you the best places, the best 10 buys that we think exist right across Australia in the locations outside of the capital cities. And just to illustrate the point that we make, that most of the strongest markets right now in regional Australia, we're not hearing about them, incidentally, because mainstream media continues to be fixated with the two biggest cities and what's happening with the downturn in Sydney and Melbourne. And regional Australia tends not to get a Guernsey at all with our major newspapers and other forms of mainstream media. But to illustrate just how good the growth is there in regional Tasmania, which has been one of the strongest markets in the country, almost 100% of location have rising prices. In regional Victoria, it's 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 locations in regional Victoria have median prices higher than 12 months ago. And in regional New South Wales, it's 85% of locations. Now, we know this because every quarter we do a town-by-town, suburb-by-suburb analysis right across Australia of all the markets of substance, and we look at what's happening with sales volumes, and we look at what's happening with price trends. So we know that the vast majority of locations, regional towns and cities, and regional Victoria, regional New South Wales, regional Tasmania, have growing markets and growing prices at the moment. In Queensland, it's about 65% of location have prices higher than 12 months ago. And that percentage market share is growing in Queensland as more and more locations that were previously impacted negatively by the downturn in the resources sector are showing strong signs of recovery. So there are great growth prospects to be found right now in regional Australia and right across Australia, really. But particularly in the eastern states, we are seeing some recovery in regional centres in South Australia and Western Australia. But right now, most of the places that we would recommend are in those eastern states, Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria, and some great places to buy. Keep in mind that for those who perhaps feel that you have a bit of a mental problem to get over investing outside of the major cities, keep in mind that some of our regional cities are actually larger cities and larger economies than some of our capital cities. And the last couple of years, probably the strongest markets anywhere in Australia are the city of Greater Geelong, just outside of Melbourne, and Newcastle in New South Wales. Both those markets have probably now passed their peak in terms of their potential for price growth. Remain strong markets, but not as strong as they were. But elsewhere in regional Australia, there are other regional cities of substance. We always look for places with diverse, strong economies, growing populations, that kind of basic parameters before we're willing to recommend a location. There's plenty of other locations in regional Australia where there's very strong potential for growth. So they're highlighted in the new edition just published of our National Top 10 Regional Hotspots report. I urge you to get a copy, because if you read that report, you're going to know about the markets that currently are strong or have the potential in the near future to be strong markets, looking long term into the future, showing good capital growth for people that own property there. That's it for now. Terry Ryder from hotspotting.com.au signing off. Let's talk again soon.